I call the Recreation Committee meeting to order at 6:01. Do I hear a motion?
Second. I make a motion to open the meeting at 6:01.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here. By the way, before we get started, preliminary discussion with the town council. We have, since we have 6 voting members, the 4, 5, and the David Broll is listed as 6, we have to have 4 to meet quorum at any time. So just so everybody's aware. If that does change, I'll let everybody know, but that's what I was told before. So, list of members.
Lucian Densmore.
Celine Muldowney.
David Dempsey.
Mike Volpone
Mark Sam.
Cindy Gardner,
from,
Council on Aging.
thank you. And our guest tonight from the town of Newbury's website and IT.
Matt Cooper, IT Director. Yeah. Hi.
Extraordinary, forgot that part.
Extraordinaire.
We'll see.
Reading of the previous meeting's minutes, Mark sent this afternoon. Did anybody have any questions, qualms, or anything? There was one typo, but it was minor, so I wasn't really worried. You just said, in regard to the moving wall, you said so longer instead of no longer, which again, everything was great. It's just, I kept that one thing, which I probably would have made a dozen myself. So other than that, David, grab a seat. We just started, so sit down and then I'll call you in.
Full house with
Camera's gonna work.
Camera's over there. Yeah, no, there's no room over here. Get over here. You're late, you don't get to choose.
Someone that doesn't see
it.
camera.
Runs a tight ship.
I give a hard time.
That was absolutely fair.
And now attending is,
David Broll.
okay. Any other comments regarding the minutes? All right, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as stated?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay.
With the amendment.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we ask the secretary to get those out in a more timely fashion?
You can certainly, you can give the secretary all the hard time you want. I am not
I-
asking because I know everybody's busy.
I just wanted to accept responsibility for getting them out at a late date. I apologize.
All right. Correspondence. The only ones I have, one I received an email, actually a messenger request from Ryan Kelly, who's asking to use the field house for a day in late October for about 5 hours for a photo shoot. He wants to know, 1, can it be done? 2, any of the restrictions, applications, and a fee structure that they were talking. I think they're willing to pay anywhere between $500 to $1,000 for the time. I don't think it should be that much by any means, but it is for a paid situation. So, and then Cindy sent the information regarding additional work for the time that the Council on Aging would like, so which we will discuss during the agenda. Anything else? Did you get any bills?
I paid some bills.
Okay, so
That
other than
last-
correspondence, so now bills and claims.
That last email that she sent today,
Who?
um,
Oh,
I never received that bill. I don't pay that bill.
that wasn't a bill, that was our monthly statement. That's what I sent, unless you got something that I didn't see. I'm going to tab it now.
With the monthly reports, an outstanding invoice from Vermont company for $110. Is that for the court?
I have the expenditure report, general ledger. Those are only 4 things I got, so I must not have been copied on that.
It's in the,
It's in the
in the email.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool. I got Colin on.
All right, we'll get him started right in a second. So Colin, give us a minute, we're just getting caught up.
I don't think until DPW signs off and goes through the punch list.
Yeah, I talked to Chris Huntress, the punch list, he's gonna come down Thursday to do that, so. And considering they haven't finished the lines
Is that a
yet.
balance, or is that maybe like a deposit?
I think that we need to pay part of it, but that's, I mean, 110 of $169,000.
There's no invoice floating around, I don't know where she got that.
All right, then I'll have to look at
I don't know
that.
if that comes out of us or if that comes out of the town.
Technically, the money should have been applied to us. There was an outstanding invoice from August from the company for launch, but please let me know.
I think the question, Celine, is more about how they're doing the accounting for it, because our
You're gonna have to grab a chair and slide.
appropriation for the committee of $50,000 is separate from the appropriation from the town for the $90,000. That would be in a different line item, I believe. So there could be, I'm not an accountant, I don't know how they set it up, but there'd be two different accounts. So what you're paying our regular stuff is from might be a separate fund code than what this is, because it's going to be coming, we have the two donations and the two approvals from the town of different funds. It wouldn't go
I
into.
just also want to clarify, everybody keeps saying the Triton Youth Basketball is a donation, it's not a donation.
What was it?
It was fundraised money earned that was kept in the youth account because they had.
But we have to consider,
nonprofit.
we have to consider it a donation.
But it was
That-
donated.
No, what
Town
Celine,
meeting.
can I interject here? What Celine's
It's
suggestion,
donated to town meeting.
The fundraiser always for it.
okay, this Triton Youth Basketball was the fiscal conduit to hold money by a dedicated group of basketball parents who spent years, 4 or 5 years, raising funds anywhere from selling candy, I believe, to hosting the Harlem,
Yeah.
not the Harlem,
Yeah,
the Wizards,
yeah.
and raised money. They donated the money, not Triton Youth Basketball. They were the fiscal conduit for those funds.
So, Mark, what was their official title, the Friends of Triton Basketball?
There was a group of dedicated parents.
Central Street Basketball Court Committee or something like that.
Some- yeah.
So
All
it
right.
was, okay, so it wasn't Triton, it wasn't under the guise of Triton
Yeah.
Youth Basketball, okay.
All right, so the question there is, and Alicia, I'm hoping you can help us, they're asking for an outstanding invoice for 110,000, that's 110 with 169 total.
Who's asking for an outstanding?
Lillian Craig in the town accountant's office is saying that there's an outstanding invoice for that amount of money from August. The work has been done other than the lines, and Chris Hunter still has to go
So
through
I
the
think, are they asking you to confirm that the work has been done so they can?
No, I think they're asking us to vote on it. They're saying here, can you please let me know when the committee will be submitting the invoice for payment processing?
You don't have to vote on that, you just have to submit it.
I know.
So,
That's what I'm just saying, and it's not the full amount because they still have the remaining of the work that's gotta be done. And Chris is still gotta go through it and then make sure we have everything
so with
counted
that
up.
110, is you gonna hold back money for that? For
But
the
it's
work
still holding
that's
back,
not done?
I gotta confirm with Chris to find out, as long as nothing else has been paid. If that's the balance, then no, I won't pay it all, because I wanna make sure that everything's done before we
Okay.
sign off on it.
Yeah, there's no need for a committee to vote or anything like that. The vote was taken at town meeting to spend that money. So this is just like administrative processes.
Okay,
I think they just want to make sure that, you know, they're not going to pay an invoice if the work isn't done.
all right, I'll respond back to that, Slim, then. I'll add Chris to the email, make sure that we get an idea if there's anything been paid and stuff, so. Any other invoices?
No, I paid a Gmello bill and I paid oil, propane,
Was that for last year, or that get put into this year?
it's this year.
Okay,
Propane, no oil, just
Propane.
propane.
okay.
Can I ask, did we ever get anything from septic, or did we even address that? Okay.
Great. Just for the record, Alicia Greco, our select board representative, is also now in attendance. I am going to suspend, because the next two things are into old business. I want to suspend the order because we have our demonstration presentation for the website work available right now, and I don't want to hold them up any longer. So, Matt, if you want to take this over, and we'll start bouncing questions and stuff from here. Okay?
Sure. I got Colin here from myrec.com, who would be more than happy to kind of take you through the nickel tour and show you all the reasons I think this is a really good thing we should use. Other than the fact that it comes highly recommended from a colleague of mine, who had to fund her entire department using basically this. All right, all you, Colin.
All right, well, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thumbs up?
Thank
Very cool. Matt, am I able to share my screen as well?
Yes, you should be able to. If not, I'll make sure you can.
All right. Can everyone see something that probably looks fairly familiar?
Really?
Yeah, there it is.
All right, very good. So just kind of making sure we have a decent connection, I'm going to click over to our website. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Good, good. If at any point I get like way, I guess, behind what I'm talking about or way ahead of what I'm talking about, just please let me know. But first off, I do appreciate the opportunity. I come from Massachusetts Recreation. I've been in Recreation Massachusetts since I was a junior lifeguard at 14. I did work for a town in Western Massachusetts up until a few years ago when I joined the MyRac team to jump onto the private side of recreation to spend a little more time with my family. So that's how I come to you tonight. I know that our main focus tonight is to take the nickel tour, as Matt said, and kind of take a little look at what both sides of the system are for you. So what I thought I'd do is just jump right in, and then as questions come up, feel free to kind of ask them, and I'd be happy to kind of field them within the software, or even just give you the quick yeses about our software. So just going to jump over to a management screen. Can you see that now?
Yeah.
Kind of looks like there's a soccer ball and everything as well. Very
just trying-
cool. So
Give me half a second, I just want to make sure it's big enough for them to all see. Give me a second, I'm seeing if I can make it a little bigger.
sure.
Like,
If not, everyone huddle around the screen. Just kidding.
well, no. Can you guys see that more on left?
Yeah,
Or can I make it? All right,
Can you
go
close
for it.
If you can close the participant list and then maybe that'll be the whole thing.
Let's see.
There we go.
Yep.
All right, perfect. You're off to the races, Colin.
All right, very good. So MyRec.com starts with a web-based service. That means you have access to your system no matter where you are, as long as you're connected to the internet. This is especially important for recreation because you could have kiosks, you yourself on a field during an event. You could have yourself, kind of stationed wherever you want to be. So where it starts is this public side of the software. So you have the ability to register for activities, memberships, use a point of sale system for special events, ticketing, barcoded tickets, things like that. But where it all starts is your accounts right here. So if I click right here into the accounts, I can type in a couple letters, if I could spell them right, of a last name, tap enter, and then jump right into a family. So what you're seeing is families are able to create their own accounts on the public side, and what that does is it makes an account for you on the management screen. So you see a lot going on here. What I try to do is honestly make myself the worst customer in recreation history. So you can see a couple of things, and one is cash and card and payment only for this account. There's a credit due. But what this really means is you have administrative ability to either suspend accounts, allow accounts to go, anything, but also, have notes on accounts because, when you're working with the commission, as you all know, you all have regular lives during the day. So being able to kind of all have information while you're in an account or trying to assist a family, either in a rental, whatever it be, it's nice to have that administrative area. It's an invoicing system, so you can see here, you do have the invoice, so you're able to invoice people for rentals. If you do get into it, you could also have memberships. You could have auto pays, so if you did a summer camp in the summer, you could have someone sign up for all 8 weeks of a summer camp, and then actually it'll automatically tap their credit card on a weekly basis. Moving down, it is a crediting system, so during the fiscal year, if you do have to credit a family, maybe they had to cancel a rental, cancel a league, whatever it might be, you could give them a credit for a future event. And then moving down, of course, it's going to have system details like billing, mailing address, and then each person within an account is going to have their own account as well. So we can click into Oliver right here just to kind of show you some of that stuff. This is my real Oliver in real life, although this is all fake information over here. However, for every person in your account, whether they're in a league or renting a facility, you're going to have birth date, you're going to have emergency contact, you're going to have residency status. If they're a coach or instructor, you can make them a coach or instructor and share information with them on their public screen. It's going to get all of their allergies, conditions, medical information as well. Moving down, if Oliver was part of a separated, blended, divorced family, you could actually share him with both families. So that way all the information is going to mom and dad on both sides. Moving down, probably what's really nice about the system is its ability to be an email as well as a text notification system. So if you did need to email someone who is renting a facility or text someone who's renting a facility or text your entire community that has an account in your system to let them know that you have a new offering from the committee, it's really nice to be able to kind of use that marketing side of things. If you were to have programs or require documentation from renters, our system can take care of that as well. So you can have custom forms, so any piece of paper that you've created, you could create in our system. One that is quite popular this year is, of course, the COVID-19 daily attendee form. But your ability to get all those answers to all those no's from people who might be using your facilities. But even participant forms like medical forms, day camp forms, waiver and use agreements. And even moving down, if you do require birth certificates, immunization reports, families can actually upload those and our system can hang on to them for you. The other thing is that if you do require any permits, business licenses, certificate of insurance for businesses renting from your facilities, our system can hold on to those as well. What's nice about that is the automation of it. Me as a community member, I can rent a facility online, upload all that information for you, our system's gonna house it for you, and no one has to be sitting at a desk at that time taking that information, which means you're always open. So swinging back, so out of the nickel tour on the management screen, what that's gonna do is actually house over to a public side. So we're gonna build you this website. It's gonna look a little different, of course. It's gonna have your pictures, your logos, your colors, your information. But it's gonna generally look like this and give you the ability to build actual tabs for your community to find information. They can go into an account. They can put in reservations, but at the account level, what it's gonna do is actually house all that information I just presented over on the management screen. So it's gonna have all of my forms, documents, I can upload things, I can fill out that daily attendee form, I can update my credit card information, I can print out my tax deductible report, I can even redeem gift cards, if of course you guys wanna have those. Scrolling to the top, if I did wanna put in a reservation request, I could go to the reservation tab. Now you have two options as a committee here. You can have a reserve a facility, which means you and the team don't have to approve the request. It's just from tip to tail, the community member could rent that park location, whether it's a picnic table or a fire pit or something along those lines, all the way through without your assistance. Now, if that's not a way that you want to rent facilities, I could put in a request that could actually go to your desk over here on the management screen. So if I click our home button in the top left, in your needs attention area is going to be a facility request area. So that way you always know how many you need to take a look at. So we have 5 right now. We'll move over here. We're going to select a location. I'm going to go to the ice arena. I'm going to take a look and see if it's available on the 1st of October at 8 a.m. to say 10 a.m. I can put in a reoccurring request, so if I wanted this, do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for a couple of weeks, I could always put in that request, tap next. The system is then going to check to make sure there's no double bookings. Right now, if there was a time in which that was rented, our system is going to make sure that it tells the community member that it's not available at that time, so they can remove that selected. Luckily, we're pretty happy here because all these times are available. It's going to auto-fill my information from my account. Now here's where you guys and gals come in, is you could actually request information at this point. You could request a business license. You could request an alcohol permit if it's an event where they're trying to use alcohol. You could just request some additional information, like what is your use for this facility? What is your intention? So the purpose of this is we're going to have some games, and there's going to be 60 people on the ice that day. You can also ask additional questions. This is asking the locker room question, like, yep, I need that. And then legal, pretty happy here too. You can have your fees and your notes from the committee and your community, and then you can have a full disclaimer and legal disclaimer that they sign online. I have read and agreed to that statement. We load your legal statements from your legal team into the system for you. Now my request is in. So as a community member, I put in a request to you. Over on here, we'll click our home button again. Now we have 6 facility requests, and we can dive right into it here. So your board, of course, we would make access for all of you or those who were going to be in the system to have access to these areas. But whoever was in charge of those rentals could dive in, place a hold on the dates. Maybe they need a board approval at the next meeting. So they could put a hold on till the 27th. And then they could put a email out to the board for approval. If you do get approval, if you're allowed to do email approvals. Say there's a date where there's no, the 8th was a no, we can delete it from the request and then book the request for that community member. The other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna load in all of your prices. So whatever your approved prices from the committee are, we're gonna approve those in, put those into the system for you, so it'll do the math based on your approved pricing structure. Tap next. It's gonna check just one more time to make sure no one double booked it. If this turned red, you'd have a double booking, for whatever reason. But we're just checking one more time. That color is good. We'll move on to the next thing. If there's anything else you need to fill out, this form is fully filled out, but if you had staff notes, maintenance notes, if you did have to have a supervisor on, and that was an additional cost, you could actually add that item as an additional cost onto the rental. And once you're happy with everything, update the reservation, continue to check out. And now you have a couple things here. As part of your system, whether they're signing up for a program, product, or even renting a facility, our system is a digital signage system, so they can sign like I am on my computer screen right now. Any documentation, and then our system will hold those documents in there for you, just in case you did have a legal event, as sometimes they're called. Once you're happy with your signatures, process to your payment screen, review any questions, and then our final step here is going to be take money or invoice the family. So if we're going to invoice the family, we would just do no payment, process invoice without payment, and we're all set. You could take your cash, your check, your charge card, whatever it might be, however payment you want to take. And then the final thing our system is going to do is create a permit with those dates and times and information on there. It's going to email it to you guys, as well as email it to me, the community member. The other nice part about it is these are searchable inside the system. So if someone goes, I got a question about permit W14-1994, you could actually search that permit and then pull that right up and change dates, and all those items. Going back over to the public side, I'm going to go home, and you're going to see I now have a balance over here because we invoiced that family. They can go right online, tap the click to pay button, pay all the items, continue, put in their credit card. If they have a credit card on file, they could use that. And they're all set. They rented the facility. They have a permit, and they no longer have a balance. So it's kind of how our system works back and forth. It's going to do the same thing for your programming, as well as any rentals that you may have in the future too. What's nice about myrec.com is it's for small departments. That's how we started right here in New England, was all the small-based departments. But your size really doesn't depict the service that you get. With myrec.com, you get your yearly annual dues, and you get unlimited unlimited training. So that way, as your board rotates into your 3-year cycles, any new board member that may come on, they can call and get full training. So your training is always included, your customer support is always included, and we don't just turn it on for you and say good luck. We're actually going to work with all of you to create your system. So we're going to take a 6 to 8 week period, and we're going to work you through the entire system so it's set up, functioning, working, and you're trained by the end. So that is your nickel tour of myrec.com on both sides. There is, of course, a lot in here. All of your financial reporting is going to be in here as well. So your income summary, how the money's coming in, where it came in. We can set up your system with different budget groups so that they're reporting to different groups based on what type of rental or program it may be. So there is a lot in here for you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Colin, a question that was asked before, it was asked before the meeting started, so I'll repeat for the record. Can there be an automatic cutoff if someone doesn't complete their paperwork by X date, say a week before the event? Can the system basically dump the reservation and let them know your reservation's been dumped because you failed to provide either payment or necessary paperwork or whatnot?
Yes, so that is that hold button that we did a little bit previously. We said they had until the 27th for either approval. And if they don't handle their job, whether it's payment or anything like that, then it's going to dump the dates back into the system on that hold date.
Colin, is there a reminder, let's say 3 days, 2 or 3 days beforehand, just to remind them saying, hey, your hold's coming up, type of thing?
So yes, so in the system you can put in reminders that is going to remind them via their account that they either have a balance or they have to give you a documentation, things like that, whether it's a program or a rental.
Thank you.
So Colin, let me ask you a question. You've done a great job of explaining for individual families. Let's say a group, like a soccer group, comes with 70 participants. How would we handle that group session? Would we have to rely on each family from that 70 families to process it? Or could they be accessible to the family units and be able to put all that information in for us and present it as a group?
Or would the league just do it themselves?
Or the league?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. And so in our system, you can either have households or organizations. So if there was a soccer association, a figure skating team, as you see here on your screen, all they got to do is create an organizational account, and then they could put their board members in so if they're not family members, right, they'd be board members under that account, and they would function in the system as anyone would. They could put in their requests, they could get their approvals, you could give them their permits, they could make their payments, but they're just structured in the system as an organization as opposed to a household.
Gives some flexibility, so if the leagues are doing it, they can do theirs, where if someone wanted to rent, a family wanted to rent it out, gives them there too.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. When you block out a time in the initial reservation process, does it block out other people at this, if I'm applying for Monday at 8 o'clock?
Yeah,
It's
so
on hold,
something-
but somebody else wants to use that same time, Monday at 8
Yes.
o'clock. We're both on hold?
So no, once someone's on hold, it's gonna hold those dates from anyone putting in requests unless it's done like over the phone and, you guys who have access to this management system can override any of that. But on the public side, it's gonna look like that time is unavailable.
So basically, this system becomes a first come, first serve for the fields, which part of our documentation, we have priority levels. So if you have a priority, third priority, the way I'm hearing it from you, correct me if I'm wrong, if Group C comes in and blocks out all the time in the afternoon and holds it, Group A, who has a higher priority, can't even go in and log on to reserve the time.
So in that case, what I would do is, as your committee, I wouldn't put holds on. So that way it would let anyone put in the request for all those dates, and then you could review those requests and then give it to the person under which priority structure. That makes sense.
Okay, the other question I have is, in terms of the security of the system, are you responsible for the security of the system?
Yes, it's our servers, so we don't come to town and install anything on your servers. There are servers, they're in Virginia, United States here. We have two server systems, one is Virginia, one is in Houston, and the best example I have is when Houston flooded, we moved everything to Virginia, and vice versa. If there's a weather issue happening in Virginia, we would move everything to Houston. We are also backing up your system every 15 minutes, and then also daily onto Amazon Web Services. So you're getting multiple backups throughout the day. We're also PCI Level 1 compliant, which is what many of us are using as we're doing our online shopping on any other site, reputable site, of course, online. And we hold all those certificates and all those liabilities.
Okay. Along those lines of finances, you say credit card can be used. Are there any other means of payment, like electronic checks? Because we have a couple of organizations that prefer to do, because they don't have credit cards as a business. Is electronic checks, or are there other means that can be included in the payment process?
Yeah, I'll jump to that right now for you. So I'm just going to pay an invoice out of the Drury account. So you have multiple payment types. They're all here for you. The first one we did a little bit earlier is we did a no payment and a credit card. So those are there for you. If you guys want to get into Apple Pay and Droid Pay, you can purchase those terminals from Apple and Droid, and then all our system would require is the authorization ID to be typed in from your Apple Pay or Droid Pay. Checks, of course, cash, of course. We have this other button. Most financial friends here in Massachusetts don't like the word other when it's attached to finance. However, we have customers in Alaska, and I swear they like trade stuff for programs. So we gave them the other button. We're going to turn on the ones that you guys would like inside your system. Account credit, so if a family has a credit, like right here, they could use that credit to pay for this. Scholarship, aids, and grants, so as a committee, if you're able to wipe fees for groups for whatever reason upon your approval, you can do that. The other thing our system is going to have is a donation system. So you're allowed to take donations into specific scholarship funds, and our system will keep track of those scholarship funds for you. I know that my commission gave me $2,000 a year for the Directors Fund, so I could assist families that were in need with programming. So our system would keep those funds right here for us so that I could use like the $268 left over here from the Rec Scholarship Fund. So we create all of these if you need them. And then the last one is a deposit. So if you're going to take a deposit on a larger rental, then it'll take that deposit under a payment type and then put it on their account. So you have multiple payment types within the system, and you tell us which ones you want to offer.
How would the cash be handled?
That'd be if you guys took it. So if I was to take cash here, so we'd say cash, payment amount, submit payment. It's going to go into your cash reporting. So if you were doing an event where you're taking cash, now my committee did not take cash, it was check or card only. So what our system is going to do is in your reporting, you can go to your financial reports, go to your income summary, and if you were taking cash, you could then just go right to the cash payment type, and then our system is going to keep track of all of those transactions and tell you how much cash you should have in hand, so that way you can deposit it into your town bank account. Now, if you don't take cash, we wouldn't turn that payment tag on in your system, so we would just turn on credit card and check.
That sounds easier. Okay.
And the other question I had is we asked for some documentation. Does that get uploaded into the system so we can review the insurance policies, the quarterly statements and such?
Absolutely. Yep. So you would, say go into the Drurys here, and into their actual account, and then down at the bottom is going to be all of those forms under that family's account or that group's account, like certificate of insurance. As a good example, if you're working with outside groups, if you're doing alcohol events, they could upload their ServSafe alcohol certificates as well into their system, and they can do all of that online for you while they're making their request to rent your facilities.
Carl, let me ask you one other question. It sounds to me like this is a great system if you have a person, a commissioner or a recreation commissioner or coordinator. How would you recommend this be done by committee? Because we don't have one. So would that be that someone from the committee is assigned to, when you say you can do this and you can do that and you can do this, how does that done when it's done by committee?
So if you're going to, so you have your choices here. So you could either have your community, they can go on, they can fully rent the facility without your approval. That would be, as I kind of showed a little bit earlier, reservation, reserve the facility. And I can go in here and just reserve it, pay for it, and not have any commission input. So you could do that, and that means the commission doesn't really have, a day-to-day purpose within the system. The other way is if you were to actually do the request system, then we would need some commissioner input in this request area on your management screen. Now you can do, and what commissions do, like Northfield, Massachusetts, they're a commission-based structure, so they don't have an employee. What they do is they do not accept facility requests unless they're a minimum of 30 days away. So it gives the commission a 30-day period to approve any of these special events. So you kind of have both choices as you set up your system. Either allow the community to go from tip to tail, whether it's a program or whether it's a rental, or some commission input, and then just create a structure within your system so it gives all of you some time to accomplish those tasks.
And you can all have logins. So this is
Absolutely.
Realistically, there's no limit on how many people. So everyone at this table could have an account to see what's going on, so that you're fully briefed before even coming into a commission meeting. You could all sit down and go, "Oh, hey everyone, next thing on the list is the current applications. Has everyone seen this one? Yep. Any problems? Nope. Great. Accepted. How about this one? No, they failed to do X. Great. We all agree. Denied." And you could, at that point, you've all been briefed ahead of time, or had a chance to brief yourself ahead of time for the stuff that the commission's going to yay or nay. Or if you trust people individually to do it, if they've met everything, you could all individually accept or deny requests as long as they've met the agreed upon criteria.
So the other thing is, it was brought to my attention that we could ask Tracy if we can have someone at town hall manage this.
That was the question I was gonna ask, but I was gonna do it after we're done. It's more of an internal it's a conversation for us, nothing that Colin has to do at that point.
What does your calendar look like? So like, that we would know, is there like a general calendar which would show what's being, oh, there it is, never mind. Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, so if you have programs, all
That's
of those
one.
games,
Yep.
meetings, practices are gonna end up in here. All your rentals are gonna end up in here as well. So you could come in and take a week view and actually look and see everything that's going on for the week. Or you could simply just check out, this is what's happening today, and be able to actually go into certain items. So here's a rental right here in blue. I can click that rental, and I can go and read about that rental and what's happening and if we need to do anything about it. So here's your rental page as well.
Cool.
So it's going to keep track of anything that's happening in your community. The other thing it's going to do, so say if we needed to take a look at like we'll go back to that ice arena because we know there's some time available in here. So as a commissioner, you could look before you assist a community member, or if you fingers crossed, get an employee someday to help you do this. They could come in here, click, drag, and then actually add in that request into the system for you, or even just put in a quick ad like hold for commission, things like that. So it really is a full schedule builder and rental system on both the management and public side. To mention too is over here on the public side, it also creates a family calendar for me over here on the public side. So when I get my rentals approved, I can actually see them right here in my schedule. So I have 2 games approved tomorrow, and also Penelope has gymnastics tomorrow night. So it really kind of creates that full 360 view for a family.
Whole organization, right?
I'm gonna ask the question, price range.
What was that?
The price range on this?
Oh, price range. Yeah, you guys fall into our small department pricing, which is $2,595 per year. And that's for the entire system. The only other thing to think about is if you're going to accept credit cards, obviously there's credit card fees associated with using a credit card. You can either absorb that fee into your rental or pass that fee on to the consumer.
What do you consider a small versus a large or a medium?
Yeah, so a small community, we would consider anyone who's going to do less than $25,000 in total revenue going through the system.
So it's revenue based.
And the pricing scales and changes. So if everything's set up and everything goes wonderfully and your bookings go up, the price goes up a little bit, but it's not like massive steps. Colin, you had gone over that with me a few days ago. Could you kind of walk through that quickly?
Absolutely. Yeah. So $25.95, that's our unpublished pricing for small communities. So that's where a lot of our smaller communities start, is right there. Once they go above the $25,000, they have their next range is all the way to $100,000, and that's $29.95 a year. Then as you continue to grow, it's small $300 steps about as you go up in size of recreation and park department. So as you continue to grow, what that means is we're going to need to give you more server support, more server space, as well as more customer support, more training. So that's why we do our pricing that way, and not like based on residency. Like how many residents do you have in town? Because we don't want to overcharge communities because they may have 25,000 people that live in town, but they're a small commission-based recreation department. So we do it that way.
Yeah, we're probably gonna be in that second tier because the field use that we rent out is in excess of over $30,000 a year, so
Okay.
just so you're aware, and everybody here's aware as well.
So I have a
So
question.
you guys would be there for a while.
So do you have any what's the word I'm looking for? Any desire or any inkling to move from server-based to a cloud-based system?
That's what we are a cloud-based system.
Oh, you are
But it's
cloud.
on-
They just have server backup.
Yeah, but it's on our
And location.
servers, that, meaning our cloud, essentially.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically, realistically, there is no, anything that's in the cloud is just on someone not ours server.
Yeah.
So we get it through the internet, but they've got a data center and they've got a failover and a replication thing going on, so if anything happens to one data center, catastrophe,
Yeah.
maintenance period, whatever.
That's what he said to Houston and.
Yeah, we don't, yeah, but that's when they say our servers, it's their servers, not Newbury's servers. So it completely exists outside of this building. We could fall into a sinkhole and MyRec can still take bookings and generate revenue.
Yep. I hope that doesn't happen though.
No, thank you.
It's my favorite extreme example of where our server isn't here anymore.
I mean, I'm in New England, I'm in Connecticut right now, so we don't want any sinkholes or anything crazy happening over here.
Any other questions?
First question. If someone needs help using the website, is there something in the website to help with that? And if so,
Yep.
would they contact someone on your side or someone on our side?
So if they're having issues, they would probably try to contact you guys first, right? They would, be over here, and then on your side is going to be a contact us, which is going to have your phone number or your general inquiries for the recreation committee. So it's going to have your contact in there. If they decide to go all the way down here and try to find who actually does the website, sometimes they call us. For the most part, they'll try to contact with you guys if they have a question about a field or something of that nature. But every once in a while they'll call us, and we help them anyway.
So if someone's doing a reservation, they would come to us. If it's one of us, we would go to them. Or to the town, Matt, and then we go out.
You
type of
ask
thing.
me more along
We
the
probably
lines
consult
of
with you
chat.
just to see if it's something that you feel you can answer, or do we need to contact them?
Oh yeah, no, I would be part of the training to make sure I know
Yeah.
everything works under the hood, so
Yeah.
if they're hung up on something, there'll be some
Is
contact.
there like an FAQ section that people to help,
Of
Joe?
course there is.
Joe?
Yeah,
Done.
right here. There you go, yeah. So, you have all
He was already there.
questions, how to register, all that stuff is gonna be here. So you have a how to register button, here's how you do it.
Okay,
And even has a video of them, here's how you do it, within the system, so it's all gonna be there to help them out. And then if y'all need help in the system, your question mark is over here, and you have a full training guide in here, and in 2 days, what's really cool is this is turning into a knowledge-based system, so then you can actually type in, how do I register someone on management, and it'll take you directly to a video of how to do that. So that's in 2 days, we're going to that knowledge-based help system. And then if you're, doing your thing on a Saturday and something happens to your MyRec system, you can actually call us. We are a 24/7 emergency line. Typically, we're a 7 to 7, typical customer support from us. Or if it's like a simple, just email us hey, I got a question, or I need my budget number for next year, or whatever it might be. You can always send us an email, phone call, things like that.
Any other questions? Colin, thank you very much. We really appreciate taking the time. This sounds very interesting, and we'll be getting back to you through Matt on decision.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate the time, and I'm looking forward and hopeful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Yep, you too.
Yeah, Colin, we'll follow up tomorrow.
All right, thank you, man.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye.
I know.
Matt, was this the same service that talks to Civic, the one that we had sent in before, or is this somebody new?
No, this is,
I think this is somebody new.
based on what I was looking into, I think you were presented something in 2019?
Yeah.
I had to do a little digging. No, the thing you were presented with, or the service you were presented with last time, was an extension of our website provider,
Yes.
Civic Plus. I don't have a strong opinion for or against them. When I went looking around, I spoke with a couple of colleagues who I actually trust with more than a passing opinion, and this group came highly recommended.
This was one of the sites that I had when I was going around to other towns
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Yes, it's rather popular due to its, after a small setup period, it's largely, there's that 6 to 8 week prep period where, we give them everything we want, they set it up, they make sure it's all available, and then it's turnkey, sit back and let the bookings happen.
And the nice thing about it is that you can, as your needs change and adapt and add, you can.
Yes, and it's not a set and forget. If new venues are added, if new services are added, we give them a call and it gets set up. If our forms need to be updated, we give them a call, it gets set up. And then, like I said, it could be, there was talk before of who would actually do this. If things play out that someone's designated, hired or designated to do this, so be it. If not, it could, like you said, it could still be done by either committee or even individual committee members if you all trust each other to know that, the system is set up and it works. It's nothing stopping anyone from going, okay, that's all good, and on the non-existent screen, yeah, that's all good. Click accept, and it's a non-issue. At that point, if you want to bring it up on the agenda, you can. If not, it's just business done.
This would be a question whether there's anybody, you had said that you were going to try and see if there's someone within town hall had the ability to do something like this
Yeah.
in conjunction with us type of thing, so.
It would have to be probably next year. We plan for it next year in a budget, at town meeting to be approved. I don't think right now there is anybody. But here's my question. I was kind of hoping that the majority of the rentals that you guys do with the field and stuff could be almost set it and forget it, kind of like. They put in there, we know who the tiers are, right? Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. People come in, they block the calendar. Like, I wanted to try to have this function in and of itself.
They couldn't, the way, and where Mark brought it up before, there's no way we could just say, here, just go to the facility, reserve the facility. We'd have to do the reservation because they'd have to put in the reservation, and then we'd have to approve it, because we'd have to then, because that's what happened this year when Rush wanted, or, well, I apologize, somebody asked for all fields, all hours, and then Triton Youth Soccer asked for it as well, so technically, based on crazy timing, Rush got theirs technically in before Triton Youth Soccer, and they technically at that point could have asked for them all, and we can't, because of our tiered system, we have to adjust for it.
Could we come to the tier system, have date, I don't know how the circle would work, but I would assume that if we had the tier system set up 1, 2, 3, 4, and the dates of locking in the fields up to, let's say, December 20th was tier 1, January 15th was 2, and so on, then those people from tier 1 that have the easiest access could get in and get their stuff right away.
Well, the problem is a lot of the leagues have said their schedule doesn't fall into certain things, so we need here's the date. We hold the reservations, and on that date, the last date, as long as they get it in, they would do it. But it'll say the retail group got in before and youth soccer came in after, we'd have a decision to make because technically they're late on the reservation. And if the retail wanted to, they could actually take it.
Well, but the way he explained it is that they would all put a hold on it, and then those holds would be presented to us.
Yes.
To do our tier priorities and to put our priorities in
And
place.
it's worth noting, the commission has the ability to override. You can absolutely override if I don't recall the details of the example because the names aren't familiar to me.
Just retail and local.
Yes, if retail happens to accidentally get in beforehand because the local group with who has the higher priority was still gathering a few last bits, the commission still has the ability to say, thank you, whoever a higher tier group had advanced reservation on this, and you can drop their hold of it and override it, and give them a concise explanation why the date dropped. Because if the date is dropped, they'll get a notification that says, hey,
half your schedule just
the 14th reservation has been cleared. The reason why, the tier 1 group, I presume it's descending. Tier 1 is top, 2 is second. Yeah. Sorry, your reservation was dropped because a tier 1 group required the field. And tier 1 can be anything from, like, a priority can be anything from your tiered system to a town emergency. We need the field. Why? Mass vaccination, handing out supplies. It doesn't matter. It can be whatever reason. You can simply override and supply a reason. And then if they'd already paid ahead of time, we'd be happy to, credit that towards your next, book. We're happy to credit that towards your next booking. So they don't have to go through, like, well, we paid for it, and you'll get your money's worth, just when one of the higher priorities doesn't take it.
So I think regardless of who's gonna manage it, probably one season at the very least, we would have to kind of muddle through, and there's not that many users, right?
No,
It's not like there's 50 different users with all their documents that we need to keep track of, though I don't know what will happen with the court. We need to start somewhere.
I like it, but I mean, again, right now, I'm the one that's getting all the emails, and I'm the one that's gotta schedule it. And in this situation this year, when the retail group came in and said, we wanted all the fields, and I had to go back to the same, so that you're not getting it. And it's just another thing added to me or somebody else that takes it over to do it.
But wouldn't it be if they scheduled all the fields, wouldn't they have to cough up some money?
Yeah.
They would have at that point, yeah.
Oh.
Well, ideally, yes, but the system allows you to exercise the option of reserve it and we'll invoice. If they're a group with whom there's a long history, with
You probably invoice at that point.
yes, at that point, if it's someone you've been invoicing historically for a long time, there's nothing that says you can't continue that practice. Especially if they're one of your higher tier groups, they've gotten it in, and you'll just send them the as soon as their booking is done, then you can send them the invoice.
So like the Council on Aging, for instance, let's say they wanted to book the field house,
Yep.
right? Cindy could go in and book a year in advance and put it in there, and as being a town, she's a tier 1.
I think you can limit how far in advance.
We could set it up. We'd say, I mean,
Yeah.
we were talking about the season, so if we did it that way, because what we talked to 2 meetings ago, we had mentioned that to you. And it's just a matter of saying we'll go from now until Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving to April, then April to the summer type of thing.
Or just set it up the way we have it, this is all.
Yeah, I know.
Right now, but, spring registration, summer registration,
Yeah.
fall registration.
Yes, she could do that, but as a person who has a higher tier level, I want to come in and use it on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock to do Tai Chi. Would I be able to, or could it be overridden? Not that I want to do that, but
But how would that be over a higher tier than the Council on
my
Aging?
understanding is a private citizen for nonprofit use has the first priority.
But there is a certain time frame when you have to ask that. You can't just come in the day before.
Agreed, that's why we have the
That
time
would
frame
have to come
of,
to us, so we'd have to make a
Yes.
decision.
we'd have that, it opens at this date, it closes at this date. We get all the applications in, that's why the blocking out becomes somewhat problematic. We get all the applications, and then ideally, we look at the people and say, oh, do you need it every Wednesday? Oh, I can do it at 1 o'clock. And there can be some conversation amongst the participants and the committee to make sure that people's needs are being met.
Yeah.
And
The,
we
the
can't-
blocking out largely allows you to avoid two folks thinking they can grab it at the same, two folks under the belief they have that same spot until it's too late. If a place is blocked out and a higher priority group comes through, I want to book it, oh, it's blocked out, then at which point they can come speak, contact the committee and
They
say,
would.
hey, so-and-so got in, but this is X, worthy of cost. It's not someone's private cookout, it's, senior Tai Chi or town soccer or insert activity here. Oh, not a problem. The board's reviewed this, we agree it's a higher priority. We'll simply go in, and well, that was a bad move, but simply go in and send the notification to the other group. We apologize. This has to be cleared for a higher priority group, and then that can either manually be made by the commission, or they can, once that person is booted, that the higher tier party can go in and make the reservation just like anyone else.
And we can set up for each entity, whether it's field 1, field 2, this building, that building, or wherever?
Yeah,
Yes.
because there were the different locations, the different facilities they had, so.
Yes, you
where
could,
we have-
it would be for, and it could be for, like, if you have a large facility, like the one down the road, I believe has, how many fields?
Technically is 4 full-size, 2 half-size. then we have to figure out the basketball court, and then we have to add the field
Yeah,
house, so.
each one of those segments can be its own bit, so it's not, we've got field 2, we have field 1, you know, and so you could have lots of folks in the same spot at the same time, as long as they're not on that same, as long as they're not in the same point in space-time, they're good.
Would the administrators have to be the same administrators for all the entities, or could different departments, and here's my question, we have 3 or 2 places that baseball uses that is public land, North Pearson Field and the upper green, actually the lower green, that is also rented out, but provided by the Board of Selectmen have to give the okay. Right, so it's the general public, I don't know when the other fields are being.
That's not our purview, no.
No, it's not under our.
I could reach out to Colin and find out if different areas can be delegated. So for example, you know, my rec user 1, my rec backend user 1 only sees the baseball fields, or my rec backend user 2 only sees the soccer fields. Is that what you're?
Yeah, and
Basically, so that one person's not getting this deluge of bookings and reservations at any given point.
Well, it's not that, it's just this committee has no jurisdiction at this point in time for those properties. But it's also property that's given to rent out.
People think that we have, as a rec committee, we're in charge of all the fields, and we're not. We are, right now, the way it's set up, we are responsible for Central Street, and that's it. So which is those 6 soccer fields, the courts and the field house. The other baseball fields and the other locations around the town are responsibilities of those different entities.
I can reach out to Colin and see if there's ability to segment who sees what.
So if we set it up, let's say, as Mark was saying, the baseball field, if someone selected that, the information would then have to go to that group instead of the rec committee. It would then go over to.
Well, it would be in my rec right now, and my rec can be set up so that.
The division, when I looked at dozens of other sites, most of the towns are single entities.
Yeah.
So, and unlike majority of towns, our school system is regional. To make further complicate things, our town has something like 7 properties, 8 properties. And you have to go to different entities to get approval to use it. If I want to use the playing fields behind Newberry Elementary, even though it's owned by the town of Newberry, I have to go through the principal at Newberry. However, they may not be in during the summer, so I don't know if I get to.
That's actually not that unique. It's actually rather common. In fact,
the point being, the upper green, the lower green, the select board determines who has permission to use it.
It's sort of like the request.
There are workflows in this, so.
Things get shifted around.
Yeah.
So divided like that.
probably
And if they
easier
wanted
to
to,
just put
the
everything
select
into
board
one.
wants
Put it on
to
one
use the
side.
calendar, then they should give us the ability.
So let's start with this.
Let's just start with the calendar.
Let's
Yeah.
walk before
Well,
we
I'm-
The
walk.
system does have workflows that's worth noting. So for example, if they're gonna come through the commission for, you said behind the elementary school, which, yeah, it's on my rec, so it's kind of the commission's, but the school needs to weigh in on it. A notification a workflow can be set up so that party gets, hey, this youth group wants to use behind the school. Someone on that, a designee on that end can go yes or no. Workflow keeps going and you guys are allowed, your operation keeps going and you can farm out those notifications to the fire safety officer for they want fireworks, or the school because we want to use land that's technically their final authority, or a field that the select board has final ruling on.
Again, going to the towns where it's a single entity, you see all the space that is available in one spot. So if I want to use a piece of, and I don't know, I'm relatively new to this town, I want to use here, this particular spot, I call it rec committee, or town hall, they don't know, that gets in here. I go to one place, here's all that's available. Now, the school isn't available? Oh, this place is, I can see right there everything that's available and then pick and choose versus having to make 4 or 5 phone calls.
No, we could make this a one-stop shop. They could come to my rec and again.
That's what I'm saying. I could come to one spot, see all the fields in town that are available.
Yes.
And then whatever I sign up for would direct me to the appropriate.
Well, on the back end, we'd have a system on the back end for contacting the final authority at any one of these
Yes.
non-strictly covered.
All right, so right now, what we can do is to move this along at this
Yeah.
point, is we can set this up for Central Street, any other field, but then, because we're gonna have to bring in all the other entities, so we have to make sure we have the right connections and all that stuff, and I don't wanna wade through that at this point. Let's get this thing
I
up.
think we should, at the very least, in the spring, if we are still managing this, just focus on our needs.
Yeah.
And then as
We
get a
add them, we
flow,
can add those workflows in.
Yes, if they add, then cross those bridges when we get to it.
Yeah.
Right
Yes, the
now.
cost is based on the bookings themselves, not how many groups are involved.
Yeah.
So as far as this vendor is concerned,
Which
there
is
could be,
another-
there could be 5 distinct entities on our end, be it the schools, the rec committee, the
Yeah.
select board, doesn't
Which is
matter.
another good point, because if you wanna bring in baseball fields and we're not getting the money, but we're paying for the software based on revenue,
That 30,000 all of a sudden could turn into
How much is baseball paying
130,000.
now?
it does,
I
I
know
don't,
it
doesn't, well,
Yeah.
baseball's getting paid something,
Well,
they're not paying us.
They're
But
not,
I
are they
think-
paying the town?
But I think this is something that we can start to
Yeah.
walk with this.
Yes.
And then maybe a decision has to be made by the town. Does everything come under this committee and under this commission? And we work, we do all of the entities? Or do they want to stay the way it is, and at that point in time, then we farm out the information to the necessary?
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, that's
They can
strictly,
then do their own thing at that point, so we
Yeah.
leave ours the way it is. If someone says, if you don't see this quick disclaimer, if you don't see the field that you're looking, or the location you're looking for in this list, you need to contact, and we maybe throw a line in there type of thing.
So-
Because if it is a revenue, then we are looking at additional fees.
So let's say we decide to go forward with this, right? How does that streamline your processes here?
Initially,
Yeah.
not really. Well,
If
it
it's
helps
not
the end
online,
user.
if it's not online, then it probably would. I mean, they'll put in their stuff, and so then we will have all that information, we can approve it.
Yeah, it'll help the end user, certainly.
It'll also save me time having to look at everybody's, because we're Triton Youth Soccer, they keep staring their times out because of daylight savings are on both seasons. So it's like, I can't just go, oh, they want 3 hours this, or 12 hours this week. I have to, okay, they want 12 here, then they want 10, then they want 8, and so you have to kind of do it to make sure you match it up. By them being able to enter that information, that schedule is already done and it's visible.
or
That's the big
or the
thing.
initial stages of the scheduling is done until you, the commission decides
So you ask them
to
in and approve it.
override, yeah.
Yeah,
All the calculations we've done on a computer and that,
Right, so you see value in
Yes,
that,
sir.
right?
spreadsheet, yeah.
well, if there's any errors, it's not gonna be on our end.
No, I know that, but you see that, a time value savings in that?
Yes,
Okay.
because
Just
all we
wanna
gotta
make
do
sure
is,
that
one of the
we're
only
all
question we have to add is this for profit or non-profit? We can list the different tiers, say, do you qualify for this, and then we just check it if we need to.
And it ties into and it does tie into the town's automatic, online payment system.
Yes.
So if someone wants to book it very quickly, that's one less step where everyone's going, okay, we've taken these checks, so because I believe if someone brings in money, you guys actually have to put it on the agenda and accept the
No,
following
so
No,
that's,
incoming things.
not like
it's
that,
not for
but-
the town, so there, that needs to be ironed out, because
Yeah.
I've always been kind of confused of where all the applications go to the town, they review everything, they get the money, and then they say, okay, it's ready to be approved, and so we just approve it, but we
Yeah.
don't really look at
But
it.
a lot of the stuff should be more streamlined now.
Right, and I think what's gonna do that is the ability for 3 or 4 entities to all hold the same times, and then for us to break that down. But I think also at that point in time, I think the confusion is, once that's all broken down, now who processes it to the town, that this is what the money that has to be collected, who's paying for it, who's doing all that stuff. Because the money doesn't come into us, so what he was saying about paying the bill, credit cards, checks, all this stuff, that's actually gonna go to a different department than us, so.
And instead of us worrying about it,
I
it goes
think,
directly there.
that's just gonna be part of the learning curve.
Yeah,
We'll figure
right.
that out.
But it'll be, the online booking system will help make it very clear what money is coming in from what source. You could very quickly pull up, here are the soccer field, this is strictly yours. Here's our soccer field stuff. Okay, well, here's the baseball field stuff, which belongs to, so that gets quickly broken down, so it's not a question of, well, what's coming our way? You'll know exactly what's coming our way. For what it's worth internally, if multiple entities are taking advantage of something, say for example, mobile phones or mobile internet access, like from a cell phone or a tablet, those are charged back to the department themselves. So, for example, I'm not eating the cost of everyone's internet. If someone wants a top-of-the-line phone, they're going to pay for it. If they needed additional data for field work, they're paying for it. It doesn't come out of my budget necessarily. So that means if someone's gonna be raising the cost of the service because of enhanced revenue, that can be charged back.
It's sort of like the credit card fee where it gets passed on, absorbed,
Yes.
that's a decision.
But even the increased cost of using the service, if all of a sudden, if we've got
It's
different
a
groups
question
that are putting us over a certain cost threshold,
Huh?
it's
Yes.
it's easily enough determined who's doing it and how much to.
So why don't we do this then,
Well, I had a question.
if you could be quick?
Assuming, assuming the money has to come into some department, the accounting department, tax collector, who currently receives the money, if they were to go online and just say payment received, one of us or anybody could go up and we get a notification that that payment had been received. Because right now, she can get the payment unless we happen to see her in passing, we may not know that Trident Youth Soccer hasn't paid yet.
Oh, yes, no, that would be
She
into the
has
system.
that.
Yeah, she sends me an email, I have to send
That's
it
not
to
the
Jason.
point though, Celine. Celine is, if she inputted it.
I understand that, but
that's
this is for the first season, we're not gonna have every answer.
But there was a,
No, but
there was a,
start
there was a
troubleshooting.
part on there in payment where you could do the red flag or the green flag. So the
Yes.
green button meant it was paid, the
Yeah.
red one meant it wasn't.
Yeah, so
yeah,
if someone
it's
comes in and pays in the middle of the day,
Right.
that gets into your system. Whether it ends up in a bank account is another that's
Right.
however
That's
they
part of
handle
the
it.
setup.
But your system will know they've paid.
Yeah.
So, at which point a booking is finalized or it's not finalized. If they come in at 3:59 p.m. on Thursday to try and get something in before their deadline, will not, they write their check, they hand it over, thank you very much, click.
It's paid.
All
Now,
right,
how they file the check and cash it and whatnot is another matter, but your system actually knows paid.
And we would then know.
And yes, and then no one on this side has to go find out where it is, get a copy of it and call and confirm.
all right, I'm gonna, at this point, does someone wanna make a motion to either accept this, proposal, deny this proposal, rethink this proposal, or just, would somebody make a motion regarding to where we sit right now?
I make a motion to move forward with,
My rec.
MyRec, and purchasing the software.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Any discussion, other than what we've already had?
When you say purchasing, does that mean that the rec comes out of our budget, or is that a town budget? That's
Right now, I think it's gonna come out of ours, and it's $3,000,
Okay.
which
Annually.
we're gonna have to adjust with, but I think in the long run, it's gonna make a big difference to us. Any other discussion?
Remember, we have not, we anticipate revenue from basketball.
And the field house.
Yeah.
So it's
I have
$3,000 a
20 I
year.
have 2,500 a year, was it 3?
29.95.
29 because that was only up to $25,000. I know just in a couple of the leagues, I mean, Rush, the first 2 years is about 22,
So it's gonna
and
be
the other one, so
3,000
in a year, so I know it's gonna be, we're gonna be in that.
It's slightly rounding up, but yes, that's what he said, the 25 was the under 25K in bookings, 25K to 100K was the 29.95.
Which should be more than fine in that regard, so.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of moving forward with MyRec, say aye.
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 Opposed? It's approved. If you wanna let Colin know, one, thank you very much for his time, and two, we wanna proceed. It's been
Perfect.
approved.
I'll get in touch with Con, we'll start working on a schedule.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you,
It's
folks.
only taken 2 years to do that, but we're knocking another thing off the list tonight.
Glad I could help.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's
Thank
big.
you, Matt.
A couple of
Oh, actually, don't go anywhere, I got one more thing for you, because it's the next thing on the list. Before, I'm gonna
Sure.
stay out of this. Fieldhouse security options, opening and closing that. We've had push button coded on the device, we had the app that we used. How is that Fieldhouse now getting open for use? Because people have asked me, when's it open? And I'm not quite sure. We had an app that we would just literally, the five of us would have, and just say we would have to, at some point, someone had to make sure that it was open between 8 and 8, or 3 and 8, depending on the,
So there was an electronic app that would lock and unlock the door, and
It was
I don't
horrible.
think it ever worked.
it was period, it was sporadic.
Tell you what, I would say, get in touch with me if you can gather up the details on it, let me know what it is. A lot of those solutions tend to work really well, but the devil's in the details and making sure it's deployed to taste. If it was dumped down in default mode and no one was given a proper setup for how to use it, yeah, it would fail.
I will handle that then.
Because yeah, we can totally take a look at that and see what's going on. They tried to do that in North Reading, and they had reasonably good success because it allowed you to, you could override, you could keep the lights on, you could make sure the gates were locked. If there was like a field house or a locker or something where there were facilities inside you needed to make available to a group, you could simply go on and hit it.
Cindy, you're working with James right now to get into the field house?
I know the code to keep it.
Cool.
We don't.
We don't.
We may know it, but.
Wow.
We may want to talk
You
about
look
that.
pretty good.
We may want to talk about that off the air.
Yeah.
And we may not want it.
No, but then, honestly, it's one of these things, let's revisit what's currently in place and see if it's simply a matter of implementation.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we've already invested in it, it wouldn't be the first time someone's told me, we want something new, this isn't working, only to find out the thing that isn't working was never given a chance to succeed and no one was ever told how to use it properly.
Okay.
So we can totally do that and make sure that we're not throwing money and or time at something we don't have to.
Our next meeting is scheduled for October 4th. I will have an email probably to you before the end of the week.
No worries.
Are we okay to discuss this next month?
Sure.
Cool. That answers that.
If it's not finalized, we'll at least be down the path to finalize. That's the whole point of having the meetings.
I don't want to waste your time, but at the same point, if we can get you in here and you can give us an idea of what's
Sure, let's book
there.
let's get some stuff together, book for the 4th, and go over what we have at that point and see if it's a done issue or where you got to do something new.
Cool.
Awesome.
Now you're all set. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate this extra minute.
No problem. Have a good one.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you,
Good
Matt.
night.
Thanks.
Well, we're still on that. Is it open now for the programs that are operating in the field at this point in time?
I don't think so then, based on that statement. I don't have the code, so I don't know how anybody's getting in the bathroom.
Unless-
Getting to the field.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean,
When I use it, I go there and I open it, and then I go back and I lock it all up.
so the only question
I don't know if
is
someone
someone
else
else opening it during
Who
field
else
hour
is
or hours? I haven't been down there, usually I'm working, that's why, so, but I can
using it? Who
try.
else is using it?
At one point,
Well, the soccer clinics, the soccer leagues right now, could they use the bathroom?
Oh, well, that's a.
There is the
it
porta
separate
potty out there, though. I think
No.
they're using the porta potty.
yeah.
No,
And
the Board of Health allowed that. We can
Okay.
use it.
Okay.
At one point, I think that the soccer groups somehow got the code, because I know there was a thing with that. Someone was using the codes, and that might have screwed up our open and closing.
No, that wouldn't. Because we gotta figure out from there, then we have to talk about the cleaning, and last I had talked, we had said, Tracy said the DPW was gonna do the cleaning, and it was not coming out of our budget. So that's a big expense that's gonna save us in that regard, so we can, doing a site like this will really help, so.
So how are we gonna get the bathrooms open for the users, particularly on weekends?
I don't have an answer, anybody have one? Other than checking with the DPW to say who can get in.
Yeah.
Whoever's opening the gate, can they open the bathroom?
Police open the gate. I mean, I could talk to DPW.
When do you want the bathrooms open? Every day?
9 to-
Three to 8 on, or 3 to 7 on the weekdays, and probably 9 to 5 on the weekends. Because, I mean, I laughed because I was at the field on Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the last team was leaving then, and that was the only team on the field in the afternoon. And they had that, and that field's supposed to be booked all day.
Yeah, Sunday was pretty much the same thing. There was one.
Tonight, this entire field's filled.
Yeah.
But the weekend I was just surprised, so. If you could reach out to James then and just say, if he's able to do it or knows who can do it, whether it's the police or whatever, just so we can get it done. 3 to 7, Monday to Friday, and 9 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. And just let us know if that's okay or not. That's not something we're voting on, so we don't have to worry about the number of situations as long as we're responding. The field house and the basketball court policies, we do not have time because we only have 15 minutes left in the meeting. I want to go to Cindy, but I had one quick question. I did receive going back to old business, the basketball court status, the court right now, the hoops are up. People were shooting the other day. I had a family that was on the court, before the court was even laid down. I was hoping they'd put something on top of the rims to prevent people from doing it, but people were doing there. Actually, some kid was throwing a football at the backboard. I was gonna, but I'm like, there's too many people around. I said, he only threw it a couple times and then stopped when he saw us there, so I was like, okay. But the court's down, it hasn't been lined. Chris Huntress said he would be going down on Thursday to check it out. I'm either gonna, I don't know if you're available, or one of us can either see if we can do it, but I just want to get an idea. He wants to go through the checklist and just kind of
It has to
see
be
what.
early for me.
Okay, we'll have to figure that out, but I've got a feeling, I already emailed him a picture of the court and said, but there's not been lined, which we still have done.
Question, we did not budget for fencing around the entire thing?
No, only
No,
for the section.
that ended up being one of our options.
Yeah,
But we could, the one, I think it was like option 5 that we wanted a 10-foot all the way around.
yeah, I don't think it's needed. I think it's perfect the way it is.
Yeah, it turned out,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
I'm-
and then they put the posts back with the chains
Yep.
around it. That's-
And then the handicap ramps and everything like that, it looks nice.
Looks
And they did a
amazing.
very nice job.
There's, 5 pallets sort of,
On the side, that was from the court stuff.
yeah,
They hadn't
Dave,
finished yet.
Dave and I saw
Yeah.
that, but I have to admit that
I must have just beat you by a few minutes because I was down there around about 5:30, so
I did not bring a ball down, but I did touch
I
the
did.
Did they put
I
a
stopped by,
rebound
but you were leaving.
block over the?
Oh, was that you coming in behind?
Nope.
Because every time I shoot, I can't get it in.
I looked at my first shot, did not go in, but after that I was okay.
On that note, I think, Lucian did some research on.
Yes. Do you have that, or do you want us
Just
to
emailed
just?
it to us.
Yeah.
Do you want us to review it, or do you want to talk about it, and that's entirely your call?
So I did it a couple hours the other day, skimming through the county's websites. Didn't find much. If you want to spend the rest of the meeting time doing something else, I can go back in October and probably email other committees to see what the prices are, because I cannot find them online.
All right, why don't we do that then, just to make sure. Mark, I'm gonna hold off on the canoe and the kayak unless
Yeah.
you've got a very brief thing we can hit with,
No.
because Cindy's got the majority of the last, so. Next meeting, make sure we're gonna go over the field house, the basketball court policies, and the spending plan. Those are the 2 big things we're gonna hit next month, along with the locking system that we just talked to Matt about, so. Cindy, if you wanna give us the information on the COA and what you guys are looking for, so we can get that voted on.
So currently, we are there on Wednesday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m. Starting in mid-October, we have another exercise class over there on Mondays from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. What we ultimately would like to do is Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. If we can block off that, we would like to do any of our exercise programs over there, and we're looking to do something every day.
Are you
Probably
talking
after the
year-round,
spring.
or for
Well,
certain
probably in
periods?
the spring, because you had said we can be there until
Well, Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving,
yeah.
and then there's a break until, like you're saying, maybe March, April.
Usually March. If you guys wanna use it in the wintertime, I just gotta make sure we have heat and stuff in there, cause I don't want you going in that.
Mhm.
But I don't want the thing not being used in winter months if you guys are able to use it. It's
We
just,
don't
I don't know how much they're gonna plow in there, that's the only thing I'm
Right,
worried about.
and I can talk to Tracy about that in terms of, I mean, if it's a really bad day, people aren't coming to yoga at 10 a.m. on
You don't
Wednesday,
close
you
it
know?
down in the winter?
No, it's open, and all it
I
needs
think
is.
it's always out, don't they have, because the water can't freeze, so they always
Yeah,
keep it.
yeah,
Yeah,
really fast.
I just don't know how warm it would be. I mean, I think we keep it down to
It's
a,
not shut down in terms of pipes being drained. The pipes are still full, the temperature is kept at about 50 degrees. They do not,
No, but you can adjust that.
So I can go
Yeah.
early
Yeah.
and, you
It's
know,
just-
but because
yeah,
when I
yeah.
go on, I turn on the AC
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they
then I
don't,
shut it off.
they
when I go.
plow as one of the last things that they do. Other public buildings get a higher priority, but they have been shoveling the walkway up until, up to the building. The challenge becomes because the walkway would need to be continually shoveled if it's a constant snowstorm, so
My only thought is, just a matter of, in terms of when we register people, we can just call them and say it's not gonna be there
They're
tomorrow.
not
As long-
gonna
as
come
long-
up
I mean, as
on a
long as you're
snow day
cool-
anyways.
I don't have a problem with keeping it, I wouldn't say year round, we'll revisit this, if we kept it to say now through April 1st.
Mhm.
And that gives you the next 6, 7-ish months, where you could, you know you're booked in, and then we can see how things go.
Okay.
I do think the last year, didn't we put they put antifreeze in the toilets and they shut the sinks off?
yeah.
But they kept the heat up at 55. So I don't think the toilet facilities, unless we change that, they put antifreeze in them so that even the water in the lower part of the pipes wouldn't freeze on the
Yeah, but I think if
toilets.
they're using it all the time, I think that's not a problem.
Yeah, as long as it's
Yeah.
being used, but that's what we did last year.
So we just gotta coordinate, if you wanna
Yeah.
reach out to Tracy and make sure that, I mean, somebody needs to make a motion to allow the council and agent to use the facility Monday through Thursday between 10 and 11:30. All right,
Through the
all
end of the
right, I'll make a motion that we allow the council and agent to use the field house Monday through Thursday, starting now until March 31st, where we'll be visited at that point. And certainly, Cindy, at any given time, you could, if you decide you get more action, we'll bring it back up.
Okay.
Um, Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
My only concern is extending to March 2nd, because we're going into another season where all the other applicants cannot make the request until.
Do you wanna move to March 1st instead?
Just do it to the end of the season.
But what
Then we're revisiting
what
again in
other
November.
applicants would that be?
Well, wait a second, it doesn't matter. If we're telling a group, this is, I
Yeah,
don't
but
think
they,
anybody's gonna do it.
they have first priority, because they're part of the department, correct? Is that?
I don't believe, I believe.
I looked through
They are?
I believe so, I think it said rec committee, residents, and departments,
Okay.
Newbury departments, so I think you guys have.
All right, I'm gonna amend my rule to March 1st instead of March 31st. That gets us time before the next season starts.
I think they should be seasonally, like
I
everybody else.
agree,
Everybody-
it should be fall, winter, spring.
Yeah.
So
Even
we
if-
keep
even if
till
we're
December 1st,
revisiting
and we'd have to bring it back up in 3 months.
When's the winter season?
I don't remember off the top of my head, one of it's
Yeah.
on this.
As long as we just follow that, I don't foresee a problem, but we start breaking the rules and following our
Fall
own.
season goes until 11/15.
Consistent with the-
Spring season, there is no winter season. There's no use for the winter, so we have to leave it, go back to March 1st, which is what I just said. So I'm going back to I'm staying with my thing. Allow the council and agent to use the field house Monday through Thursday from 10 to 11:30, Monday through Thursday,
Okay.
until March 1st.
Second.
This is the working document that you're working out of, not the document.
That's the one I sent to everybody.
I know, the title page is the working document. It's not the one that's published on the front page of the site.
Yeah, I just had that up a second.
Whatever that says, Dave.
Can we just leave it as March 1st and then, but also put a notation in there that,
Unless someone's gonna have a big stink about it or wants to make a major change. If not, you can, better make it now, because if not, I'm gonna call the vote.
yeah, my thing is that the only thing that we need to make sure that it's now not winterized the way we did last year, so that you can utilize it. That would be the only thing I'd say.
So according to the field use priority status, residents of Newbury, the recreation committee, or town department committee board.
What's the
What
date, what's the
dates?
date, what's the
For
dates?
applications.
Now you're asking another question.
Here's my thing. If we can't hold ourselves accountable to what we wrote, then we cannot be asking users to be held accountable to what we wrote.
We don't have a winter season listed though. We have a fall, we have a spring, we have a summer.
Yeah,
Fields have
winter-
never been used in the winter, the area has been blocked off during that time.
So-
I think this
so
is
this-
different because it's a field house, it's not the field.
Fine, it hasn't been written yet.
We
Right,
haven't-
and that's not written yet.
Seasons are as follows: spring, approximately April through the third week of June, when the Triton School academic year is completed. Summer, end of spring season to August 14th, I think.
Yeah.
Fall, August 15th to November 21st. Winter, approximately November 22nd through March 31st. With written approval of the NRC application, overlap the seasons. Additional fees may be requested.
So when is the applications open for the winter season? Sorry,
So, I'm
There is no
blind.
winter season.
she just read it.
Yeah, there is actually. The winter season is November 22nd through March
Oh, it is.
31st.
Okay.
All completed application must be recreation.
So we voted for the.
Winter
main-
season, September 1st is when the application period opens.
When is
And-
it?
September 1st And applications due by October 1st.
Okay, if you look further up, it says winter, approximately November 22nd through March 31st.
Yes.
Fall, August 15th through November 21st. So
The application, it's the application deadline is what
it
he's
says
referring.
sessions are as follows: spring, summer, fall, winter. And then you go down lower, it tells you when your applications are due.
So when is it due for the winter?
The winter is
what?
September
November
1st.
21st is what Mark is referring to, that we can give them permission until November 21st, and then we have to give them permission from November 22nd to the 31st.
Of March 31st.
That's the winter.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is that we should just fine.
It's just another way. I apologize, we're gonna have this, until we get this updated, we're gonna have to go into that. So I'll amend my thing back now to November 21st.
Correct.
Second,
So that'll take them through the fall.
Take it to the fall.
which will also give us time to make.
Unless
sure
something
that-
dramatic happens, you can pretty much count on being able to go through it, but, well, I'm not banking on it until we get it done. All those in favor of allowing the council and agent to use the field house Monday through Friday from 10 to 11:30, did I say Monday through Thursday, until November 21st, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's all yours.
Thank you.
So let's just keep me in the loop regarding, if there's anything going on there regarding time.
They can even do snowshoeing out there in the winter.
It has AC. It has AC.
Okay,
Country out there.
That's great.
our next meeting is scheduled for October 4th, it's Monday. The meeting after that would either be November 1st or November 8th. I'm not quite sure, because we're at the first of the month. We've been trying to stay the first Monday of the month.
Which is the first?
Yes,
I say you stick with it.
I want to make sure everybody's okay.
We're not, that field house policy thing's gonna take some time.
I know.
So I'd be surprised if we have other things we're working on at the next October 4th meeting, we should probably.
The October 4th meeting right now, I have the locking system. I have the field house for the basketball court and the field house. The spending plan I'd like to get into as well. It's just a question of, there's only so much time in a meeting.
Right.
I think if we legitimately get I don't think the locking piece is gonna take long. I think we're gonna spend more time on the field house and the basketball court. And I apologize for one last thing. I need to give an answer to somebody regarding the use of the field house for a day in October. That won't conflict with yours. It is a retail group. They want to use it for 5 to 6 hours for a photo shoot, and they really want the place just so they can change. I need to be able to say yes or no, and if yes, how much?
Do you know what day?
No, they're very flexible. They're willing to do it. They're talking a Thursday, Friday would be the best days at work, towards the end of the month.
Have they filled out an application?
No, they haven't, because there isn't an application for the field house.
So
Could
Cindy
just have
only
them
has
fill
it,
out an application, write
Yeah.
the field house in there.
Okay, so are we saying yes, they can do it? Are we saying no, they can't? Do we have an idea regarding the price? Because I need to call them tomorrow with an idea. I can tell them to fill the application out, that's easy enough.
Are they gonna need all the other things too, like the insurance and?
yeah.
They're using the field house to go to use the bathrooms and the main area just so they can change clothes.
So if they, to rethink this, to make our forms work, they're renting a field, don't care what field. They're gonna have access to the bathroom in the building, as long as it's not on a Wednesday. So they're given a field, they don't have to use it, they're using the building. So they fill out the application for the field, they get access to the building, they're a nonprofit group,
No, they are a profit group.
they are not a profit, they are a for-profit group, so it'd be, what, $15 an hour? Fill out the application, get the insurance forms in with, like anybody else, and it's not a problem.
I think we can do that for one.
Well,
Yeah,
so
until you have
until we
a
change the policy.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I will let them know. I said, fill out an application, get it here, and
Why don't
give me
you
a
vote
date.
on that?
What, on the
What Rob
process?
just said.
Okay,
Yeah.
but here's, again, I hate to be the stickler on this, but we chastise one group for not filling out a form, yet we're authorizing somebody to use the
Oh,
field.
no, they're gonna fill the application. We're not gonna,
We're voting on it without the application being filled.
We can vote on it pending a sufficient application.
we can give it to them on October 4th. They don't need it to the end of October.
Okay.
So I can just tell them, fill this out, this is what we're looking at, send it, but I need a date.
And we don't see any objections at this point in time.
The only time I'm gonna tell them is they can't use it Monday to Friday, Monday to Thursday between 10 and 11:30.
Yeah.
We can always adjust, you know,
Yeah.
we do the best we can, and
So I will leave it at that, and I'll notify them that they have to fill the application out. The projected cost is $15 an hour. I need a date, and I need the application, and we'll decide on it on October 4th. Okay? It is 7:30. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:30.
Do I hear a second?
second.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're done.
Let me get the camera.